The next one I'm going to show you is the changes that were made to the transaction entry alert screen. And that is going to be found under list menu. And it's transaction entry alerts. And for those of you not using this feature yet, in the transaction entry alerts, this is going to allow you to set up billing rules to give an alert when you're entering charges in your transaction entry screen. So I'll show you those in just a second. In the transaction entry screen, so that you can remind yourself to do something. For example, here's an example I set up. I'm just going to hit edit so you can see what the screen looks like when you're creating one. So if you click new, of course, this would be all empty, but I'm just showing you an example of one that I had already set up. So I added a message here. So I'm going to get a pop-up on the screen that's going to say add a 25 modifier when any other CPT codes are present. And that should actually say with an office visit. Or you can be as specific as you want. So within 99215, this is just an example. I don't know if that's even true. I just made that up. So under the insurance code field or insurance field, this is where you can set it to a specific insurance code. If you leave this empty, then this rule is going to apply to all insurances. So in this rule, I have it set for just Medicare, so that when I have a use in 99215 for Medicare, it's going to pop up saying I need a 25 modifier if I didn't put it in there. You can also narrow it down to insurance class. So if you had multiple Medicare set up and you assigned an insurance class to all of your Medicare codes, you can select insurance class and it would apply to all of them. You can also tell it if you want it to pop up when it's a primary claim, secondary, or all three. You can also specify the facility, a specific provider, an attending provider. You can also, this is where you would plug in the procedure code. So in this case, the example I used was a 99215. And then I put in 25 modifier and I selected the option that says when it's missing. So it's going to say whenever 99215 is used and the 25 modifier is missing, that's when I'm going to get this alert that's going to pop up. There's also other options here. You can say when it's present. So maybe if you want to set the opposite rule up saying, hey, sometimes I need to remove this modifier for Medicare and for every other insurance, it needs to be there. Then you can set that up to alert you when it's present, and then you'll get a pop-up. So you have several different options. You can also add diagnosis codes so that you can remind yourself to either add a specific diagnosis code for this procedure code or remove it, which is very helpful because if you're getting denial saying you're forgetting this diagnosis code that's required on this type of claim, it's good to set this up so it pops up ahead of time. And down at the bottom, there's another option here to also alert when other procedures are present or other procedures are missing. So in this case, I selected when any other procedure is present and it's a 99215 to tell me that I have to have that 25 modifier on there for Medicare. And you can do just the opposite and say, alert it when other procedures are missing. You can do just the opposite and say, if the 25 modifier is present and there's no other CPT codes, then you can change the message to say, remove the 25 modifier. So you can actually I would do both rules to just make sure it's there when it's needed and is not when you're not supposed to have it. So I'm going to say when it's missing and when any other procedure codes are present. And then I'll show you how it works. So I'm just going to hit save. Oh, down at the very bottom, for those of you who were using this feature in the last version, the new feature here is they've added down at the bottom, you can now put a date range in there. So if this rule just started, like the 25 modifier is now required as of January 1st, you can put a date in there. So it'll only pop up for a specific date range. So I can maybe just put like through the end of the year until those change again. So I'll put that date range. So it's only going to pop up when this rule, it's only going to look for these dates of service and pop up if that rule applies. Okay. Also, another new feature as far as these transactional entry alert rules, they've added a copy rule button. So if I did want to quickly copy that rule, I'm going to click on it and highlight it. It copied it here. I can change this and now say remove and do just the opposite. Remove 25 modifier when no other CPT codes are present. And then here I'm going to say if the 25 modifier is present and there's no other procedure codes. And so now I've got my 2 rules here on the list, my messages that are going to pop up, and then I'll show you how those work. And also just another tip, if you have more than one practice, you can export these in a file and import them to another practice. So you don't have to key them in over and over again if you have multiple practices in Medisoft. All right, so let's go to transaction entry, and I'm going to pull up my test patient here. And if I'm going to just do today's, or that's not today's date, actually. Today's date, 999215. And you'll see there's no modifier. And then I'm going to add another procedure code with that. And when I hit the Save Transaction button in the bottom middle of the screen, here's my alert that pops up that's telling me my message is going to be right at the bottom. The top half of the screen shows me the rule that it pulled the message from. And then the bottom half gives me my message telling me I need to add a 25 modifier when any other CPT codes are present with the 99215. And you have 2 options here to continue. So it does allow you to bypass that rule. If maybe there was a certain situation where you're like, nope, I don't need to add that for this particular, you can hit yes to continue or no, and then it doesn't save your changes yet. And then I could come in here and add my modifier and then hit save. And at that point, it's still telling me, oh, this one's saying so this is my other rule that I set up to say to remove it when no other CPT codes are present. Apparently I did that one a little wrong. But anyhow, when you hit yes, you can bypass that to save it anyways. And then you can move on and create your claims from there. So it's a super nice feature to help you to catch those little things like that, where there's certain stipulations and situations where you have to have a certain diagnosis code or a certain modifier, or, just your typical billing rules, basically, so that you don't have to try to remember all those, and it'll help you catch those.
Hey, thanks for watching our video. If you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe, and also do us a favor and click that like button. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.